Okay, this is a review of the 2015 BMW 435. The model I am testing is the convertible. It's all equipped. It's got the M Power everything. It's got every option in the book. In Canada, weird thing is that if you want the good sound system on the 435, it costs you almost $7,000 because it's optioned with other packages that you have to take. So really that kills the buying experience a lot. What are you going to do? BMW is going to charge you a fortune for everything, and because they make a very good car. So this car in Canadian, all equipped with a half decent sound system, without the M package, is going to be at least $75,000 tax in for the coupe or the GC, and for the convertible, of course, it's going to be more than that. And for the M Power packages, you can add another $5,000 tax included. So pretty expensive options. A lot of things that you get you probably don't need. The adaptive suspension is, to my eyes at least, not very useful. However, these brakes are pretty cool. I have to say, like, these M brakes look very nice. And so when you take it all equipped, the good news is it feels better. It feels like a more expensive car. Looking at it from different angles, this car differentiates itself from the 3 Series mostly by the rear view. That hump over the rear wheel looks beautiful. I don't know why it's not coming across good in the camera, but in person it looks amazing. The front end is slightly dropped down and wider, and it looks, I guess you could say, slightly better than the 335, but really it's the rear 3/4 that the 4 Series distinguishes itself. On the road, the noise, vibration, harshness is inexistent. No road noise, no tire noise. It's really a very quiet driving experience. The interior I think is okay. I'll talk about that during the drive. The sound system though is very good. The optional sound system, that is. The regular sound system BMWs suck. So the chassis is set up a bit softer, and that's okay for a lot of people. The good news is it's still sporty though. Alright, engine is incredible. Fuel economy is very good for this type of engine. BMW keeps it at a reasonable 300 horsepower. With the M Power package, it goes up about 30-35 horsepower. It's great. The vehicle is extremely high priced. However, it gives you a lot. I still think it's the best in its class. Inside, the design language is simple, driver focused. There's an S design in the front dash, which makes it more wrapped around the driver and slightly more room for the passenger. Very functional. In GC or 3 Series or even coupe mode, not in convertible, there's plenty of room in back. Very roomy seats. The GC even has a hatchback, which is super practical. So this car's control weights are adjustable via the adjustment switch next to the transmission lever. A bit of a gimmick. Remember, these guys don't just want to sell you a car. One good setting would be good enough. However, they don't have a choice. They have to appeal to customers who want like the highest end. I could do without it, but that's okay. Here's my thoughts of the car on the road, and they are very good thoughts. Okay. So this is the review of the 435i, the M Sport package. It's the convertible. I've driven a few of these cars. I've driven the 2012 335i. I've driven the Grand Coupe. I've driven, so I'm familiar with BMWs. I've owned a BMW, and I am a Beamer head. So I'm gonna try not to let my bias affect the review. And I think the best way to start this review is, there's a lot of I saw a review on Motor Trend, and the normally extremely knowledgeable Joe Lieberman was talking about how a driver's car inspires confidence. And he started like that, and then I waited for the rest of it, and there was nothing. And that's not really what it is. All cars have to give you confidence. What does the sports sedan give you that other sedans don't? What's the difference between a Buick and a German sports sedan? Or of recent, an American or Japanese sports sedan? What are the key things? Well, the mission of the sports sedan is to afford you as much driving pleasure and a great driving experience with as little compromise as possible from the luxury perspective. So you have a luxury here, you have sport here, and usually the sports sedan is going to be in this area, right? And the quality of the sports sedan will be the range of its ability to be comfortable and sporty at the same time. That's what a sports sedan is. That's what people are expecting when buying these cars. Does BMW still meet that objective? Now, we were all scared in 2012 when they redid this because the suspension was softer, the car got a lot bigger despite being less heavy. Does BMW still have it? And of course, there are the new entries from Cadillac and Lexus, which are the two, I would say, real threats to the ultimate driving machine's crown. I drove the Lexus. I haven't driven the Cadillac, so I have a good idea of whether this car is got it or not still. The short answer is yes, this car is still the best sports sedan, sports luxury coupe, put it the way you want it. However, the competition has gotten much closer. What keeps this car ahead? Well, they made the suspension a lot softer. However, it's still sporty. It's lost that edge. It doesn't have that super duper crisp edge feel. On center, it's not quite as sharp. However, like on center, when you're like, you know, the little tipsy movements when you move a little left, a little right, it doesn't react like it did before. It tracks well. The suspension does lean a bit in corners, but that's okay for the regular driver. We need cars that lean in corner because we're not driving on racetracks, right? So we don't instinctively know each curve because it's the 8th lap we do it and we're trying to get the best lap. No, we're just trying to get a good driving experience. We should feel the limits of the car when we're taking curves tight. And we do that with a little bit of lean. We know when the car surpasses a certain point that we're approaching the limit. We know when the car begins to scrub off speed, either an understeer or oversteer. We know we're approaching the limit. That's what these cars should do, and this car does that. All right, there are no surprises with this car. The transmission. The transmission is still the best transmission in the industry. What's great about BMW transmissions is that even if you're in comfort mode, the transmission, you don't have to press hard on it for it to react. If you take a curve hard, it will hold that gear for you. All right? It's really telepathic. That's what it is. So they still got it for that. The engine, BMW still has it. They make great engines. I haven't driven the 4-cylinder turbo, but by all accounts, it's wonderful. This engine I'm very familiar with. It is awesome. All right? It makes a great sound. And it not only sounds good, it sounds expensive. I think Chris Harris said that, and he's right. It does. These engines do sound more expensive. Let's listen to it, the acceleration. You know what I mean? This is expensive. This sounds expensive. It sounds fast. It sounds refined. When you're driving this car fast, you're feeling where your money goes. I can't say that for the others. So that's the drive. The steering feel, like I said, is lacking, but then again, it is from all its competitors because everyone's going electronic steering and nobody's figured it out yet. With the exception of Lexus, the IS, nobody's really figured that out, and which is fine. Another thing I have to say is the overall luxury. There's been a lot of criticism made about BMW interiors, how there always seem to be just a little step behind its competitors. And by its competitors, I mean its German competitors, Audi and Mercedes, especially Mercedes of recent. So what can we say about that? Well, the design language isn't as flashy. And the all-equipped versions of these cars go for $80,000 Canadian. And I'm touching the leather, and I have to say, it doesn't feel like the leather of an $80,000 car. It feels like the leather of a $50,000 car. So some of the criticism is justified. However, and I'll show you with a video over, you can look at the dash here. It does an S here. There's an S here. I'll show it to you with the video layover, which means the driver's side feels more wrapped around and the passenger side feels like it has more room. That's intentional. That's not somebody who just randomly did that. There's a reasoning behind that. BMW addressed its critics that they were kind of like tight, their cars. The 3 Series has always been like a tight car, the previous generations, and they addressed that. There is in fact more room than any of its competitors in this car. I'm not sure I need that, but a lot of people were complaining about that. So that's one thing about the interior. The design language, it's true, the materials feel good, but don't look as pricey as its competitors. I have to give them that. So if we look around here, I'm just gonna stop right here, and when we look around, like everything feels quality. I'm touching these window pulls, the door, when you open the door, it feels super quality. The feeling of quality is there. However, the look of quality perhaps isn't up to par to its other German rivals. It's been a criticism laid by a lot of people. I have to be objective, and they're right. These interiors are not as flashy as its other German rivals. That much is said. Does it feel any less driver-centered? No. This car feels extremely driver-centered. The base steering wheel is fine. The M steering wheel is amazing. Notice BMW doesn't have to resort to gimmicks such as flat-bottom steering wheels. They don't need to do that, right? We don't have flat-bottom knobs. We don't have flat-bottom Ferris wheels. We don't have flat-bottom tires. However, somehow, people feel if you have a flat-bottom steering wheel, it's somehow more sporty. I don't understand. I know a lot of people who like driving don't understand, but there's a perception there that it's like that. However, this steering wheel is the best. It's perhaps approaching the outer limits of thickness. I think I have big hands and it's just enough, so somebody with smaller hands might find it a little bit too big, but the dimensions, the width of it, it's perfect. There's no clutter here. It's wonderful. The dials are very simple looking. They're much more simple looking than its rivals. However, if you ever look in a fighter jet, the dials are very simple. I know I'm reaching, but still that's what it is. It feels very purposeful. The font size is a bit small. However, when you're driving, these dials somehow look at you straight in the face. At night, they have the less glamorous orange color. Its rivals have usually a white or a light bluish tinge, but you know, the orange color is less fatiguing for your eyes. That's why BMW chose that color. Once again, when choosing the driver-oriented choice and the luxury choice, BMW sometimes will err on the side of driver orientation, and the color is definitely much more pleasing to look at night. So I think the interior meets the minimum standard, and its rivals do better. However, when you're on the road driving fast, I can't see the difference. So that's that. Don't forget, we're looking at the sports luxury sedan customer, not the luxury sedan customer. And I think this interior is just somehow, I really like this interior. It's grown on me. I think that fuel economy is very good for a 6-cylinder. This car has a hardtop convertible. I don't have time to review all that because I got to go to work, but but listen, it works well. I can't hear any road noise or anything. It's very easy when the top is on. So I assume when the top is off, it must be just like every other convertible. It must be a wonderful out air experience, you know. If you don't want to buy a motorcycle, you buy a convertible. And that is the review of the BMW 2015 435i. It's open. Can we open it? Yeah, let's open this. Let's just open it. Let's just see what it looks like open. So here I am, the typical white douche driving these cars, showing off how much money I have. Well, that's okay. I owned a BMW once before, so I'm not afraid of that stereotype. And here we go. That's how easy it is. See how easy that is?